What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over the Reign of X era of X-Men comics, where we basically pick up with X-Corp. Now, X-Corp is basically a program that Charles Xavier made to make sure all the different companies that he, the X-Men, and the mutant race have built after forming COPPA run smoothly. So basically, think of having like 10, 15 different kinds of companies around the world, but they all answer to one particular group, which is X-Corp. They're all under one umbrella. Now, with that being said, Charles Xavier is not the one to actually run this company. It's actually two characters, Angel and Penis. Now, these are two characters who do have some kind of track record when it comes to running different kinds of companies. And so it makes sense for Charles Xavier to put these two characters in that position to kind of help run all the different companies around the world. Now, this is also a way to use these two characters in the new era of X-Men comics, because these are two characters we really haven't seen much of, except I want to say in the Empire event tie-in Empire X-Men. But of course, it gives these characters now a purpose in the new era of X-Men comics. But either way, here is X-Corp #1. Now, in the opening pages of this book, we actually do pick up with the formation of the X-Corp base. And of course, it is massive. But while we're kind of giving this preview of the base, we also have Angel and Penis kind of going through a interview. Not an interview, they're really doing more a commercial to show the world that there is a new company, X-Corp, and this company is going to be around as long as there's different kinds of mutant businesses that were made by Charles Xavier around the world. And so, of course, we can see with this preview of the base, it is going to be very massive and very huge. But of course, it needs to be that because it's going to run a lot of different companies. Now, with that being said, though, when it comes to Angel and Penis, they need to basically build their staff. I don't mean like all the lower level people. I mean more of like the board people. Because right now, all you have is Angel and Penis. They need other characters to kind of fill out the boardroom to make sure that when they're away, the company can still run properly or help run all these different kinds of companies. Now, of course, the next page kind of shows us that basically when it comes to Cable and Penis, they don't really get along. I mean, they don't hate each other, but they don't like each other. But they do respect each other because basically it's the two characters trying to run this company. And when it comes to the two right now, they're kind of having a disagreement over the commercial that they just did, because basically you had the director ask to do one more take for the commercial and you have Penis say no because she wants to leave and handle other things. But Angel's kind of like, listen, we need this commercial to do well, because if this commercial does well, it can basically help boost our popularity and help us get more deals out there in the world with those human companies to work with our mutant companies. But again, there are two characters who have different ideas for X-Corp. Now, you do have the two characters basically meet up with Charles Xavier. Now, this meeting is really more of Charles Xavier kind of doing a check-in to see if the two characters need any kind of help when it comes to ideas for X-Corp. Now, of course, it also is Charles Xavier to know what's going on with the different plans they have for different things across the world. Where, of course, you do have Angel tell Charles Xavier that basically they are running into some kind of difficulties because basically you have different people trying to tie up X-Corp with some legal battles. But of course, it's now Charles Xavier wondering, should they launch the X-Corp base? Because remember, X-Corp is a very big base. It's going to be used to run many different things that the mutant race have across the world. And so with that is Charles Xavier wondering if they should launch their new base into the sky to show the world what they have built, if basically they're trying to get deals done and they can't get those deals done because of legal reasons. But you have Penis and Angel say, let's just go ahead and activate our ship, activate our new base, because we do have some companies out there that are already part of us. They work for us or they work with us. And once they see our new ship, the companies that are not working with us right now are trying to hold us up in the legal system. They'll change their minds and basically join us. It's Angel and Penance showing Charles Xavier they have game plans left or right to basically kind of get things rolling. Now, you do have Penance leave because she says she has to go to another meeting. Now, that is the moment we see that Penance got a call, and so she had to leave the meeting between her, Angel, and Charles Xavier to answer this call. And of course, there is another character who's basically in danger, and that character is, of course, Trinary. Now, Trinary actually first appeared, I want to say, back in the X-Men Red book that we got right after you had Marvel kind of relaunch the X-Men with X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, and X-Men Red. But either way, Trinary kind of has the ability to kind of access any kind of computer stuff with her mind. It's kind of like she's basically a computer psychic. Now, with that being said, this is Penance kind of building up their board. Because remember, right now, all you have is All you have is Angel and Penance. They don't have anybody else. And so right now it's her trying to build up that board. And so, of course, she does offer Trinary the position to join their board. And of course, this is a good move because Trinary, like I said, is basically a computer psychic. She's able to collect and find data across the world just like that. Now, we do see Angel actually go to Brazil. Now, the reason why Angel is going to Brazil is to meet up with a character known as Jean-Pierre Coy. Now, Jean-Pierre Coy actually first appeared back in House of X #1. Now, that is very important because when it comes to Jean-Pierre Coy, he's two things: a United Nations ambassador, but on top of that right there, he is actually, or he did have, a company, a pharmaceutical company. And of course, when Charles Xavier basically gave the world a new kind of medicine, it did hurt Jean-Pierre's company, but he still was trying to be friendly with Charles Xavier and the mutant race. And so what Angel is telling us that this meeting is more of kind of like Jean-Pierre hoping that he's still on the good side of the X-Men, not the bad side, even though technically he hasn't done anything bad to make him go on the bad side of the X-Men. Now, the reason why Jean-Pierre is asking for a new deal and why he wants to be on the good side of Charles Xavier is because when he first appeared in House of X, the X-Men just gave the world a new kind of medicine. Now, Jean-Pierre was the first person to basically agree to a deal to kind of work with Charles Xavier as a way to kind of save his company because he realized what the mutants were doing. If they're able to freely step into the medicine world and give the world a new kind and better medicine, he knew other companies would basically struggle. And so he went ahead and joined Charles Xavier's company as a way to kind of distribute medicine across the world. But here's the problem though. Now with the mutant race getting so big and making deals left and right, that basically you have more companies joining Charles Xavier as he spreads more and more medicine across the world. And Jean-Pierre is hoping for a new deal where, of course, 1, he gets more money, 2, his company is more well off, and 3, he's just hoping that it'll put him in a position where he's still first in Charles Xavier's eye when it comes to the medicine world as the mutant race basically take over different things across the world like medicine. But you have Angel say no, because back then, when we first came into this world with our island, you were the first person to say yes, but you're the 4th person we called. Now, those 3 people who we called at first, way back then, are now working with us. That basically you want a new deal because you heard the companies that were doing better than you before we stepped in the medicine world have now joined us, and that hurts your pockets even more. Now, of course, it's Angel thinking that he can just walk away, but that is the moment you have Jean-Pierre basically hand Angel a paper saying that they're going to use the law as a way to kind of cripple X-Corporation. Now, basically, what it seems like this law is basically saying that Angel, X-Corporation, and also Charles Xavier and the mutant race basically broke some international laws when it came to them putting a factory out in Antarctica. And with that factory, of course, it does bring up a lot of laws that were broken when it comes to international laws. And so with that being said, it's kind of like Jean-Pierre trying to control Angel in a way by using the law. Now, that is the moment where we basically do see Pennis go to the Savage Land, because in the Savage Land, of course, that is where the factory is at that's making the flowers that basically leads into the medicine being made by the mutant race. Now, of course, the laboratory that's being run there in the Savage Land is being run by a character known as Jamie Maddox. Now, Jamie Maddox is a character who has the ability to multiply. And of course, he is the one kind of running this lab. But basically, it's also Pennis coming to Jamie and saying, I want you to also be one of the board members. Because again, it's really Pennis trying to build up that board member group. It's right now it's her, Angel, Trinary, and now it's her asking Jamie to also join as well, but to also kind of work with different interests he has in different things. Now, that is the moment we actually do see Pennis try to call up Angel. Now, remember, Pennis is a psychic, and so she's kind of able to contact Angel with her mind. But basically, you have Pennis tell Angel that right now, when it comes to Trinary told her earlier that somebody has been hacking into the X-Corporation system, and they're holding a lot of important information, a lot of important data. Now, with that being said, though, it's also Trinary telling Pennis, and Pennis now telling Angel through their psychic talk that basically whoever had broken into the system of X-Corp, they're doing this for ransom in a way. Now, of course, that is the moment you have Angel say it has to be Jean-Pierre. That basically right now, he is trying to hold ransom against us. He's trying to attack our factory in the Savage Land. He's trying to do a lot of different things. But then their conversation in their minds is cut off. Now, of course, with their connection being cut off, this does kind of freak out Pennis. And so basically what she does is next, she basically turns on the X-Corporation base. Now remember, this base is massive, it's huge. Now when I say she turns it on, I really mean it turns on and begins to fly in the middle of the air. That basically the X-Men kind of built their own kind of helicarrier, what S.H.I.E.L.D. used to use back in the day. Now, with that being said, though, basically with this base in the air, of course, it also has the ability to teleport. And so they do teleport over to the Savage Land. And the reason why, because the factory in the Savage Land is what Jean-Pierre is telling Angel, where, of course, the X-Corp, the X-Men, Charles Xavier, that is where they're breaking laws, because where the factory is actually located in. And right now it's in the Savage Land, but the Savage Land is also located in Antarctica. Now, with that being said, as soon as they arrive, you have Monet say they're going to use the machine one more time to teleport to go pick up Brazil, because Brazil kind of broke away from COPPA. They're no longer accepting anything from COPPA, which means the gate in Brazil that gives the mutant race the ability to teleport almost anywhere in the universe is gone. And so right now you have Pennis saying they're going to use the X-Corp base to go pick Angel up and to hopefully deal with this new problem that has been started. Now, getting back to Angel, we basically do see Angel still having that meeting with Coy. Now, right now, you have Coy saying that this is kind of Coy and other people he's very close to trying to tell the mutant race that they do not belong. Not because they're mutants, but because they don't act like rich people do, meaning that they don't do dirty moves like what rich people do. And so basically right now it's Coy saying you stepped into this game thinking that you'll be able to control this game, but you cannot. And that is the moment we come to find out that basically the base in the Savage Land is gone. It was wiped out completely by Koi's men. And so that factory that was doing a lot of different things, including making medicine for the entire world that was made by Charles Xavier and the mutant race, is gone right now. Now they do have other factories, but of course that one right there is gone. The one that basically you had Koi say the X-Men or the mutant race are breaking a lot of different laws. Now, that is the moment where you have the book kind of end on one heck of a high note, and a really kind of confusing one, but at the same time, it's still one heck of a high note. And what I mean is that basically you have Pennis, Trinary, and also Jamie Maddox appear with the X-Corp base, because remember, it has the ability to teleport, and of course it teleports right into Brazil. Now with that being said though, of course, with them teleporting into Brazil and the airspace of Brazil, they're basically breaking a lot of different laws they can afford to break right now, because right now it does seem like the X-Men are invading Brazil, but in reality they're not, because they're just here to pick up Angel. But on top of that, with all the different cameras in Brazil showing the X-Corp base, this is what Pennis and Angel were trying to do, to show the entire world the new base for X-Corp, what's going to be used to run all the different bases across the world, but to also put X-Corp on the map. So even though Pierre thinks that he won by getting rid of the Savage Land factory, at the same time, his camera crew is helping the world see what the mutant race have built, which of course also has the ability to teleport. But this is where the book ends. And so with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.